It's a bumpy road home for Lios Rakulivu as he travels to his 400-year-old ancestral village, Jiskaten. This ride into the hills of Pingtung County in southern Taiwan, almost a metaphor for his own personal journey.
Maya Mingjus, papi tu Januichen, Masalu.
After a difficult childhood, he left this area, home to many indigenous Taiwanese Paiwan like himself, in search of a new life in the big city. But it took getting away and meeting other indigenous Taiwanese for him to realize the importance of his roots.
I think there are more and more people start to look their culture seriously in order to have a sense of identity as indigenous.
It wasn't just his heritage he was looking to learn more about, but also himself.
Be indigenous, meaning that people expect me to know about my culture. Being LGBT, they will be curious about how I deal with my sexuality within my community.
It was a part of him he had never confronted. And this time, coming home meant seeking out answers to that question. It led him to find a community of Aju. This Paiwan word, literally meaning sister, has been adopted by LGBT indigenous people to refer to themselves. Indigenous Taiwanese make up just over 2% of the population, and for decades they were treated as second-class citizens in their own country. So, LGBT indigenous Taiwanese are often described as a double minority. They face discrimination from within their own traditional communities because of their sexual identity, and from mainstream society because of their race. Conservative attitudes persist, particularly in indigenous communities, which are often Christian and also put a strong emphasis on the firstborn child to continue the family line. 31-year-old The Guy also returned home recently. He now works at a museum and has made it his mission to educate the younger generation about their culture.
面对年轻人们是我可以去展现我自己是谁，但是面对长者们，就是我没有办法去太展现我自己是谁，因为他们对于我的身份、我的性别有他们的期待，我不想让他们失望。
He tells me that it is the adversity he faced as a gay man that motivates him.
我为什么那么认真想要读书，得到人家的认可，是因为我是阿杜，所以我想比大家更出众。
For both The Guy and Lios, being different meant they should stand out from the crowd for the right reasons. Lios uses his weekends to promote and preserve indigenous languages.
Because years of, Taiwan was under martial law, and a lot of people, not just indigenous, are receiving oppression, not talking in their own languages, and that really impacted our parents' generation. And a lot of cultural elements or languages are lost during the time. It is continually losing, but people are trying to get it back.
Strolling around the village, nowadays it is not uncommon to hear the residents call each other Aju in the streets. And at the usually traditional harvest festival, a performance from Aju dancers and singers. It is one example of how being different is becoming more accepted in this small village at the foot of the mountains. Even the village leaders are now recognizing that regardless of a person's gender or sexual identity, they too can contribute to the community.
我们部落里面的年轻人，特别都是互相都非常的尊重。然后在我们聚会的时候，其实我们也是都知道说彼此的这个性向啊、状态啊怎么样的，就是不论他是怎么样的一个人，其实都可以在部落里面用他的方式为部落去服务。
And for young LGBT indigenous people like The Guy and Lios, it is liberating and it is life-changing.
不管我们是不是阿都，我们都会为部落做事，让我们为部落做事的事情，就会让大家看到。
But for now, both young men live a double life. They are out among their peers and younger people in their villages, but they hide their identity from their parents and other elders. They are hopeful that the community is opening up.
台湾的社会我自己是很乐观的，觉得大家未来会更接受彼此。10年后我可能又老了10岁，但是我觉得总有一天，我应该可以在这个部落说 ，Yeah, I'm gay。对。
They've battled discrimination on two fronts, but this has only fueled their determination to honour their heritage and protect their culture. And they are forging what it means to be an Indigenous Taiwanese in the 21st century. Alex Chen and Rick Glauert for TaiwanPlus.